The magic of the FA Cup is alive and well in Suffolk, or at least it was until we got the fourth round draw. This is the Blue Monday podcast. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, discussing Ipswich Town up or down since 2015. I'm Richard Woodward and you're tuned into the Flagship show, available every week on YouTube video and podcast. And this week we are live, so we want to hear from you in the chat. Joining us this week, transfer gossip, guys. We'd love a bit of transfer goss. Joe Fair's David Diamond. Joe, how are you?
Good, yeah. Excited by the news that dropped sort of half an hour before this pod.
Yeah, perfect time. I'm not going to say I manifested it, but it was, it's worked out quite well. Albeit, I think people may be watching an interview with said player. We'll come on to that in a sec. Dave, how are you? Oh, Dave's lost. We've got no David Diamond, so we'll plough on, Joe. Well, let's jump straight into the news. And as we say, we are live, so we want to hear from you. Let's go to the chat very quickly. Let's say to Charlie. Evening to Dan. Certainly feels a bit more positive than after Monday. Can't put my finger on why. Evening to Gary, Andreas, Ashley. New signing in the door. That is what we want. Evening to Noel.
He'll be on the grass tomorrow, which I'm sure Seb will be pleased with.
There you go. To use a Sebism there. Evening to Alex. We'll come back to your thoughts there. Jim, great to have you with us. James, Lee, perfect. So, here we go. Michael Warner as well. Joe, should we start? I'm going to remove Dave. There we go. I think we need to get Dave back. We'll keep trying to sort out David Diamond's internet connection. But should we speculate what George Hirst is saying right now, Joe? Good signing, though. Long overdue, perhaps. 6 months overdue.
I'd imagine it'll be along the lines of, as soon as I heard about the interest, I couldn't wait to get the move done. I've been around the training facilities. They're fantastic. I was in the ground yesterday. What an atmosphere! What a stadium! I can't wait to play here. And more cliche bits like that. But no, on a serious note, this is a player that we have chased all summer. We tried to get a deal done. He was our number one striking target through the summer. This was the guy we wanted, and we've got him now. Later than we'd have wanted, but he is here now. And I know there's sort of talk, people looking at his record saying maybe he's not the one, but there's a reason why he was picked out as the one we wanted. And I think I'd say his record at the end of the season last year in League One was brilliant at Portsmouth.
Yep.
He was excellent at Portman Road against us, led the line really well for a player of his young ability, and he looked as though he was available. So he is now here, and we've been saying for weeks, Freddie Ladapo's doing well, but we need two of him up there, don't we? We need two number 9s to fight it out, to battle between each other, and we simply haven't had that. So now, this was the one we all wanted, and to get it done a week before the first league game of the month. I know we had Lincoln on the second, but we couldn't get anyone in for that. But we've now got our big number 9 signing in a week before the first league game of the month.
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it? Evening. Let's try it again. Let's hope this works. Let's go. I just want to go to the chat very quickly. Dave, I could hear you, which is great news. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yeah, sorry about that sort of random internet drop out so randomly. But how are you? How are you? More importantly, you failed a late fitness test.
I did pass. I passed it today.
Good.
I went out and about today. So
sort of hamstring stretch and no twinge. You're fine.
I did a quick run up and down the hallway.
Good.
And landing, and it worked out. So I was able to go to Prezzo today.
Nice one.
So that's back in the land of the living. But yeah, the Charlie D, the Holy Trinity Diamond Fairs Woodward. Were you meditating, to Chris's point here, Dave? Meditating, or maybe
I was blaspheming, to be fair, Chris. I've got to say, I was heavily blaspheming, to be fair. I trust you couldn't hear it, but
no. Fortunately, I took you out of the equation so we couldn't
just
get you.
As flipping well. That was a bit more than that as well. Oh,
evening to Gary, who's done a super chat early doors. Thank you, Gary. Sorry, generous.
Gary, is that for me to leave again?
That's just a broadband upgrade.
That's to upgrade your router.
Diamond Towers. That is. Where's your Ethernet cable gone? Get that back.
Oh no, I should get it back, shouldn't I? Yeah.
Dave, let's go to you on George Hirst. We were just speculating while you were away as to the kind of things that he was talking about in his club interview. But as Joe said, pursued all summer. Eventually signed a new deal with Leicester because it was a permanent that we were looking for, and went on loan to Blackburn. 11 appearances, no goals in the Championship. Similar kind of story to a loan move that he had earlier in his career with Rotherham in the Championship. But as Joe has said, 13 goals for Portsmouth in 21-22 is probably what piqued our interest, and 6'2" physical presence. Happy days, right? It's a good sign.
Yeah, I think very much so. A little bit surprised that sort of resurrected itself again. I mean, as Joe, I could hear what Joe was saying earlier, that obviously he was the one we chased pretty much all last summer, and then, he signed the new contract with Leicester, went to Blackburn. Clearly, it hasn't really worked out for him there. I'm not sure, Joe, would you know how his fitness levels were? Did he have injury or anything there? Or obviously they got Brereton Diaz.
Like he's
fairly
but he's only played about 270, 280 minutes out for Blackburn this season. He hasn't scored, but like I said, the equivalent of 3 games. I think he started 2 games, come on a sub in a further 7, played a couple of cup games, and had even been playing for their under-21s, I think. So he has been fit. He's just not been involved at all.
No, and as you said, last season he was on fire for the back end of last season, wasn't it? And I remember him playing against us, and he looked a proper handful. So, yeah, good signing. I don't know. In the 2 minutes I was away, I don't know if you were speculating on the potential third signing, which would seem is also imminent.
Yeah, well, should we go through the chat, because there's some bits and pieces on that. So Alex talks about Hirst and Broadhead, and Broadhead we think was papped by one of our Telegram group at the game yesterday as well. So that feels close, although Kieran McKenna wasn't willing to commit on either of them post-match. We now know the Hirst has been sorted. Alex talking here about Plymouth losing Cooper, and is Morgan Whittaker a chance? I mean, to me, the signing of Broadhead ends the pursuit of Whittaker. Is that fair, guys? And
I don't think so. I think we'll still try and get him if we can. Okay. I think he's one that you just see that if Swansea are desperate to get a shot of him this month, and when you look at the fee, it's sort of 1.5 million, somewhere around that range, and for a player who is 20 years old still, is he, or 21, then it's not much money for what he could be worth in the future. But I don't think he wants to come here as things stand at the moment. Is what I've heard. But his options might be limited by the end of the month if he gets told that Plymouth can't afford you. You're not going back there. We don't want you here. Find somewhere to go. Then I think once you get him in here, speaking to McKenna, speaking to Mark Ashton, show him around the place, he'd want to come here. But
George Hirst has already praised the facilities, hasn't he, Joe? So
no doubt. But I think he's just one of those, isn't it, at the moment? If we can do it, I think he's seen as, like when we signed Selena at the start of last season. Yeah, the squad's full, but he's just a sort of cherry on top signing.
Where's he? I haven't really noticed anything about his background. Is he from Swansea? Where's he from?
Lincoln he's from, actually.
No, he's Lincoln. That's right, he is. Yeah.
So he came through at Derby, but he's from Lincoln. So yeah,
that's right. No, you're right. He is
on the east, isn't it?
Yeah. So,
but we think Dave. Do you want to talk about Broadheads? We think he was at Portman Road yesterday, and we
seemingly again he's had a bit of a sort of fairly stop-start career, hasn't he? Really, sort of. I think he was quite highly rated at Everton, but hasn't really played hardly any minutes at all. I think he's had 20 odd appearances for Wigan this year. Chipped in with a few goals, 5 or 6 goals, I think. So again, I think he's quite highly rated. Seemingly, obviously, a different stature to Hirst. I think he's under 6 foot, I think. I can recall him sort of taking his goal quite well at Portman Road last year, the equaliser, wasn't it, where he sort of squared up, opened himself up and sort of planted it in the
down
corner.
Walton, didn't he, a little bit?
Yeah, he did. So again, good champion, good experience, goal scorer, scored goals at this level. So yeah, what's not to like? And that's obviously would be very much a permanent, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like the fee agreed, isn't it? 7 figures apparently. But I was on Ben's live stream last night for Sheffield Wednesday Newcastle, and a Wigan fan came on there and was a bit peed off that Broadhead was joining us. So that bodes well, isn't it? I mean, you can't read a huge amount into necessarily sometimes, particularly when it's critical. But when fans are disappointed to see players leave, then it bodes well, doesn't it?
There was a few ex-town.
So I think.
Sorry, go on, Joe.
No, like when you sort of saying I always played like 20 games, scored 5 goals or so. I think now with this 5 sub rules, you really have to look at how many minutes these guys are playing for their goal records. And when you see Broadhead at Sunderland last year, he played the equivalent of 13.8 matches, so 1,240 minutes, scored 10 goals.
Yeah.
So 10 in 14 basically for Sunderland. And this year for Wigan, he's played 11.9 matches and scored 5 goals. So he's sort of a goal every nearly 180 minutes in the Championship and a goal sort of about every 120 minutes in League One. But George Hirst, he's only ever had one season in League One, which was the season with Portsmouth last year, and he scored 13 goals in the equivalent of 27 games, and I think 11 of those came in his last 13 starts of the season as well. So it really turned it on after Christmas. Where in the Championship, he had that year at Rotherham where he played 30 games, didn't score, and
mostly off the bench though, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah, well, he's only played 976 minutes in the Championship. He's only started 6 games in the Championship across those loan spells. So it's not like he's been playing every week and can't score. He was coming on for 4, 5, 10 minutes a time for Rotherham. So his numbers are just going up. Yeah, he didn't score, and you want your strikers to score a goal, but his goal record at Portsmouth was good, and Broadhead's goal record has been brilliant for both Sunderland and Portsmouth.
Mm-hmm. And look, as far as Hirst's concerned, we've said all along on the group, on our WhatsApp group and the Telegram group, that you need someone to take the weight off the Dapo, and he would just seem to fit the bill perfectly.
Michael's question here: do you think Hirst signed with a view to buy when we go up? He says when we go up. Thoughts on that one? I mean, it seems likely, doesn't it?
You think so?
Well, the only thing is he signed a bumper deal at Leicester last summer, so you're talking like a 20-25 grand a week.
Maybe another loan,
there.
Joe.
Yeah, so I think Blackburn had a fee agreed, and that was somewhere in the region of sort of 5-6 million, I think it was. If
really?
He was going to go to them. So
okay.
Obviously his stock has gone down since then, but I don't know. I don't know. Leicester haven't managed him brilliantly. They've sort of given him that contract, so they were sort of worried about losing him for a lower fee, but they've now sort of priced him out of any move. I'd imagine he'll be someone, again, if we went up, maybe try and renew the loan for another season.
These players are young, aren't they? He's 20, right, young, but he's 23, is he? 23, 24.
Football-wise, he's very young, isn't he?
Yeah, from football played, but do you know what I mean? It's, I don't know. It's just how it is, and that's the Premier League for you, though, isn't it? That's just how it works, I guess.
Yeah, it's
just that fear of losing players, isn't it? Fear of getting one wrong.
Losing a nugget. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly right. Joe's given us views on this, I think, in the last few pods. Dave, what's your take on Biles' question here about who's possibly leaving? I mean, I don't think anyone needs to leave to balance the squad and get the 22 registrations, but do you think the squad's a bit unwieldy and might?
I just don't know. It's an odd one, isn't it? I mean, Edmondson came in yesterday, didn't really have a lot to do, did he? But what he did, I think he looked comfortable, classy player, but it's seemingly that, the team's just got, at the moment, certainly got a better balance with the right foot, left foot combination of Wolfenden and Burgess. Can you see Edmondson leave? I don't think so. I mean, after seeing what I saw yesterday, I wouldn't mind us getting, as I think I said a week or so back, I wouldn't mind us getting another centre back in. To be fair,
know Alex, who's here, has been banging that drum for a while. So
look. But as for players leaving, I don't know. Hladky, do we think?
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, Edwards. I like Edwards a lot. He's an enigma, isn't he? And we'll just say the party played in Ladapo. We'll get onto that. The party played in Ladapo's goal yesterday is an absolute touch of class, but he is a bit inconsistent. But no, you'd think, he's a player that's really ought to stay and be, and worked on and developed even further, because I think he's got it. I honestly think he has. But maybe Hladky. I saw obviously they extended. I know I heard McKenna speaking about Coleman. I think they extended his deal, I believe, but he said, a third, he very much referred to him as the third goalkeeper, and you need the third goalkeeper around the building. But I personally, I don't think I can see anyone desperately leaving now.
Andrew here, do you think this will mean Jackson's game time will be limited from here on? I mean, we'll talk about Jackson in relation to his performance against Rotherham. Certainly as a number 9, I don't think we'll see Jackson there again, but as a right winger, guys, I mean, you guys were there. He seemed to got an assist, didn't he, yesterday? So maybe that's, he's in competition with Burns now rather than Dapo because of Hirst and Broadhead. Thoughts on that, Joe?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think he's been used as a wide striker quite often in this team, and now that, like I say, if you think he played in the Wes Burns role yesterday, even when we were playing more of a Burns as a wing back when he was out away at Burton, it was Jackson that came in and played almost a real right wing back role there that time, and just his pace out on that flank is just causes teams problems. And I think that is his role. That's how sort of banging the same drums have been all season, but he's not a number 9 in the way we want to play. And that is what has cost us that we haven't had anyone to play in that role. So it's great that we've now got Hirst in. But yeah, I think it might limit Jackson's involvement as a number 9. But I don't think it will limit his involvement. I think he's played in nearly every game. He's always on the bench. He always comes on. He's a player that is a
Less
great
pressure as well on him, Joe.
chess piece that comes on. Yeah, and I think he's just going to play out on that flank more, which is where it probably suits him more.
Yeah. And what was great to see yesterday was that we'll get onto it. Was the delivery for the first goal where he actually did get his head up for once and didn't just hammer it across in an area.
Yeah, we'll talk about that definitely, Dave. And let's just rattle through some more bits and pieces in the chat, and then we'll move on and chat Rotherham, shall we? Neil, I would just sooner sign Collins from Bristol Rovers. I mean, everyone's going to have their favourites, aren't they? I guess we can't always be happy with everything, but it feels like these are the kind of signings, if Broadhead happens as well, that don't happen at many teams in League One. So I think we need to be appreciative of Ashton and Co for that.
I think there's a lot of when you think about, so obviously Kieran McKenna coming in and his background in sort of the youth team at Manchester United and Tottenham previously, and Sam Williams has come from sort of Manchester United, I think was with sort of academy recruitment there. So these players like Nathan Broadhead, George Hirst, these are guys that they've come up against a lot through those real top Category 1 academies that are there. And these were the most talented boys in the country to be at these clubs. And yeah, you get the late developers, your sort of Aaron Collins that have come through that way, but they're just not. They haven't got that same pedigree as the sort of likes of the Hirst and the Broadheads have got. And under the coaching of McKenna, these guys should flourish.
Yep. And there's always going to be money, isn't there? That's a factor there. Bristol Rovers, I guess, maybe not willing to cash in. I don't know. They're an outside bet at the playoffs as well, aren't they? So
they're on a run. They're a decent run.
Joey Barton not really being too keen to let him go. No, Noel, how similar are Hirst and Broadhead? I mean, Hirst is an out-and-out number 9, isn't he? Broadhead can play anywhere, kind of across those attacking positions, perhaps. Similar to Chaplin, if we're going to compare.
No, I'd say so. Hirst, when he was younger, he did play in those sort of wider attacking roles, but he's now very much a number 9. That is his role. He's going to play through the middle. But Broadhead, he's a player like a Chaplin, somebody who would like to play through the middle more, but I think maybe his stature sometimes works against him. But he is a guy that can play on either flank and support the striker, and is somebody who wants to get there and score goals, which is something that he's, like you say, shares that with kind of Chaplin, as opposed to maybe a Marcus Harness or a Sonny Aluko, who are there more to create than actually just get on the end of chances.
Yeah, I think if young George can emulate or be half as good, or as good as his father, we'll have a player.
That came up in Ben's live stream last night as well, strangely. So a lot of chat of Morgan Whittaker still. I mean, obviously, long way to go on that one, but he's saying a great as a future saleable.
I think there was someone was talking about David Hirst putting on an absolute masterclass at Portman Road. I think back in sort of like the early 90s, when Wednesday came down.
Yeah, I think that was the game where one of the games I may have left early. I think we got beat 3 or 4-1, and I left early when Carlton Palmer, sort of the midfield opened for Carlton Palmer to stride through and crack one in the top corner from about 20 yards.
I remember that one as well. He didn't score that day though, did he? I don't think.
I'm not sure he did. I'm not sure he actually did. I'm not sure. I think he did play in that game, if that's the one they're referring to.
Thoughts on this point from Michael? This could help Freddie become a better player. I mean, there's the kind of the pressure of being the sole number 9, really. Hadme hasn't really kicked on as we thought, and still kind of is learning the role, really. He's very inexperienced. We'll talk about Freddie's goal shortly as well, Dave, but it's an interesting psychological aspect to the signing of Hirst. Obviously, from a squad depth perspective and an options perspective, it's great, but it might just drag more out of Freddie Ladapo.
Yeah, you'd think so. That you can spur, I'll show them type scenario, type mentality where he just spurs him on to greater things. I think Ladapo gets some stick, but I think we've all said before, playing an out and out number 9, how we play in that how we play an out and out number 9. It's going to be at times, isolated, and could be 1 against 1 sometimes. 1 against 2, 1 against 3 sometimes. So I think he's improved certainly as the season, as not just yesterday, but I think he's improved as the season gone on, and I think his hold up play's improved as the season's gone on as well. So this will, like I said, just take some of the burden off him, hopefully. Because
Yeah.
like David said there, he could well end up the season with 20 goals.
Mhm.
Quite
Yep.
expect him to, actually.
But
Um,
we know McKenna likes to rotate his strikers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We know that in every game, one of George Hirst or Freddie Ladapo will start, and the other one will
Yeah.
come on for them,
Yeah.
probably for the 20 minutes. So it's not like George Hirst, if he is going to come in as the main number 9, is going to play 90 minutes every week, and Ladapo is going to be on the bench.
No.
At most, he'll start 2 games out of 3. I'd imagine if you look now at the minutes they play between now and the end of the season, they'll probably end up about 50-50, 60-40, assuming they both stay fit.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because if John Jules had stayed fit, then probably we wouldn't have revisited that. I don't know. Maybe we would. I don't know. But
well, John Jules isn't out of the equation yet either.
No, not really, is he? No,
sticking around, isn't he? So
hamstring, wasn't it? I think so nasty one, wasn't it?
Yeah, we shall see. Ashley quite rightly talking about Matt Penny. He sounds like he's well liked at Motherwell, but he's not registered, obviously. And someone's also mentioned that the keepers keepers aren't included in the squad registration. So even if we get,
okay,
didn't
realise that. And to be fair, Skip, I forgot about Matt Penny. Yeah, if anyone, I guess he would be off. I think he's doing quite well, isn't he?
Yep, and as Dan says, back to smashing 3 brilliant forward subs on at 60 minutes again, which really worked for us guys at the start of the season, didn't it? So that's what we want. Some mentions of Nathan Broadhead's mum liking Ipswich Town tweets, which is what you want, isn't it? And someone said it's always the mums, isn't it? So I think we've done 20 minutes on transfer business. We'll maybe come back to later chat as well if anyone wants to talk about that. But let's dive into Rotherham, shall we, guys? Let me put the team up and remind you of who faced off yesterday. 8 changes for Town. Hladky for Walton, Edmondson and Keogh for Wolfenden and Burgess. Davis returns for Greg Lee. Vincent Young in for Donasian. Overdue, certainly, a rest. Humphreys for Morsey. And essentially Chaplin for Burns, Ladapo for Harness. Jackson slots in a wide role. I think that graphic is a bit incorrect there. And only one change, I think, for Rotherham, as far as I could figure out, which is Cohen Bramble comes in for Daniel Barlaser, a player that we really rate on the pod. I think subject possibly to interest with Middlesbrough. And worth noting that you get 9 subs in the FA Cup and Rotherham can only name 7. Joe, your thoughts on that team? I mean, a good rotation, isn't it? And some good minutes for players there.
Yeah, and like I said, the only players you look at that and think, who's going to start the next game out of that team? You think, well, Leif Davis probably will do, but then he's missed a Lincoln game previously, so he needs to get a game in him. Lee Evans will do, but then we're one shot in the middle, and then you're sort of probably talking Connor Chaplin and Freddie Ladapo. But again, now Hirst is here. You've got an option with Ladapo there. He's probably going to start, but he's probably not going to play the full game. And then Chaplin again with Broadhead again. You've got that chance to make those subs on those again. So it's a lot of changes, but still, like I say, you look at the team; it's still really strong and. Rotherham couldn't make 8 changes, and they're a division above us. We're playing their first team with our reserves, really. Well, not our reserves, but our gentle second string, maybe, if you call it that.
Tell you what is interesting from that, how the average age pops up when Keogh and Aluko starts.
Yeah, 28.2, yeah. Cameron Humphrey's doing his best there, isn't he?
But, he is,
swimming against the tide. I mean, quick thought, Dave, on Rotherham. No wins since the start of November.
Yeah.
3.
As you said, only made 1 or maybe only a couple of changes, and they're going to struggle, aren't they? I think they didn't really show much, did they? Not really.
4 losses and 2 draws.
Yeah,
going into the game against us. But were you predicting an Ipswich victory? Were you confident, Dave?
I thought so. Yeah, they haven't been in the greatest of form. I must admit, I didn't catch the preview show, but I thought we'd be all right. Be all right yesterday, and I think we were favourites, weren't we? The bookies' favourites. I think we had us
quite comfortably. Rotherham were about 5-1 to win.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think they had that. Yeah, I must admit, as a match, spoiler alert, as a match panned out, I didn't quite see that margin of victory, but I was fairly confident we would win, especially when I saw the side. As Joe said, it's not a reserve side; it's a sort of a nice strong second 11 as such, if you know what I mean.
Joe, do you want to take us through the first half? Obviously, going to culminate in a goal for Cameron Humphreys down your end, but talk to us about the pattern of the first half and that kind of stuff.
Well, I thought we were pretty much on top straight away. We dominated the ball. We sort of had the ball in their half most of the time territory. The only problem was when sort of they had a quick break down the right hand side. Lee Evans tries to sort of take him out and fails, and they get all the way down there, pull it across, and Connor Washington slots in, and the linesman gives it offside. I haven't seen it back to know whether he was right or not, but even if he was right, it's pretty poor from Connor Washington to drift offside in that position when you've got a certain goal, and that would have just been that sort of sucker punch when you think, oh God, another game where we played really well and had a couple of good chances. I think Chaplin at that point had a couple of good shots on goal, and Aluko had one, Chaplin had one at that point, saved, and all of a sudden you're 1-0 down to their first time they've been in your half all game, and then go from there. But no, it carried on, and we just carried on pushing and pushing, and Jackson and Ladapo combined well down the right. Jackson gets away, pulls it back. It looks like Chaplin was almost lost his footing there. There, and it just, Humphreys comes in, really, really nicely timed run, and just the finish, he just guides it into the bottom corner, doesn't he? 2-in-2, really classy finish, isn't
Really
it?
nice goals, isn't it? Yeah.
Lets the ball come across him and then just carries it on in there.
Rich, you and me went to that Colchester League Cup game, and from exactly the same position, twice I think he blazed over. So the kid is learning, isn't he?
And he's just, his post match is excellent, by the way. Speaks really well,
incredibly well.
Talks about practicing those crosses as well, and trying to find different situations apart from flashing it across the goal, or pick it. I forget what phrase he used. It was something like the second line or something like that. So that was definitely something that they've been working on, and really tidy finish. Is Humphreys putting a good problem in McKenna's mind for a starting role, Dave?
Possibly is, but I think Evans and in that central two, Evans and Morsey, I think are a cut above anything else in the division. I think I really do.
Stephen here thinking possibly.
I don't see it. I don't see it. No, I really don't. I think Evans has been superb since he came back. Perhaps a little bit quieter yesterday, but only because Humphreys was so good yesterday. I mean, he was quite clearly the man in the match. Absolutely such a composed performance, but I don't see him usurping those two at this stage. No.
It's a good bench option to have, isn't it?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Frankly.
And Evans for his physicality as well,
Sure.
And Humphreys, not saying Humphreys is getting stronger. You can see Humphreys is certainly, I think he's bulked up since the start of the season. But, sorry, I just don't see it.
No, I'd agree on that. But there's a couple of moments, isn't there, where you see him strong in a challenge all over the pitch, but also when you actually just spend some time just watching the amount of ground he covers. There's one time he's nicking the ball off somebody just inside box on the defensive end, and then the next thing you know, he's up the other end of the pitch picking the ball up, composed, time on the ball, picking his head up to put a cross in the box, and it's like he gets up and down the pitch so quickly, so good on the ball, his passing so sharp, and it's like he's a real special player. And hopefully, I'd say he came on in a 10 role, didn't he, away at Lincoln and scored the goal, and maybe
I can see that.
You sort of see the role Sonny Aluko's playing or Shawnee Aluko's playing, and you might be able to give him some minutes in those roles, but he's someone you've got to find a way to get him in your match day squad, don't you?
I think so, Joe. But like I said, you wouldn't split those central two now. Not at the moment.
No, probably the pick. Dare I say, in League One, central midfield players. Isn't it? So.
I think without doubt. But what a great option. And as you said, it's certainly giving the manager a nice problem.
But Sam Morsey's one booking away from a 2-game ban.
Yeah.
Lee Evans. He's obviously had a bad injury last season. He's had another bad injury this season.
Yeah.
With sort of further progression in the cup, we're going to have a lot of Saturday, Tuesday weeks, aren't we? And we're going to have to make sure we manage him across the season. And there's going to be plenty of minutes for Cam over the next few weeks.
Yep. Yeah. Well, question mark, Joe, on minutes for Richard Keogh. I kind of feel sorry for him because he's kind of come in, hasn't he, in league games and to try and see them out. And I think it worked against Derby, but he might have come up for 30 seconds and they had a corner. But I think a lot of people are remembering Sheffield Wednesday and Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, great for him to play, but this penalty incident at the start of the second half, really not great, is it?
No, there's no need to make the challenges there. He's lucky that he was in the box, or he'd have been sent off because it would have been a red card if that was just outside the box. You just got to trust your keeper there. There's no need to fly in like that.
So I don't know, who is he? Was it Washington that he brought down? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
But
He's so far wide though, isn't he?
To be fair, Edmondson misses the first ball. Edmondson misses the first ball, which I think perhaps caught him a bit unawares, to be fair.
Yeah, it's just maybe it's panic stations. I'm the last man. I'm not sure about the keeper. I'm not really sure of my bearings. And not a great situation there, Joe. And penalty dispatched rather comfortably. Although Hadke does a good dive, but it goes the wrong way.
It's difficult for Keogh though, because he's a keeper who has. Sorry, Keogh is a player who has played week in, week out for probably 17, 18 seasons, and now he's coming in for the odd game here or there, and at an age where he's now sort of 36, 37, and he's not getting a chance to get himself up to fitness. But then, so when he does come in, he does look short of it at the moment still, doesn't he? And I'm sure he's a good influence around the place, but you wouldn't really want him playing in a big game for you at the moment, would you?
Well, no, it is a bit of a gamble, and it happens to the best of us. Let's move on to the rest of the second half, Dave. How was the reaction to going a goal down?
Yeah, good. I think.
Equaliser.
Yeah, good. I think I can't really recall anything more from them or Flagship having to make a save. I think it was sort of fairly even, and I think we just began to get on top again, and then for once we get a soft penalty. Penalty. Let alone
are you
a
worried
soft
about
penalty.
these penalties, Dave? Because
we're using them up. We've used them up. We're probably that's our season's worth, isn't it? I mean, yeah, just a sort of fairly poor from Rotherham. Perhaps they should have got a man in front of Ladapo from the throw, but yeah, just a sort of fairly standard throw from Davis. Ladapo does well. Like I said, he's good hold up plays. Strength, holds off. I think it's Odafin. I think it's who it was, and sort of turns him. Yeah, he's got a bunch of his shirt, but how many times in League One have we seen that this season? For God's sake! And almost a surprise when the ref, when the ref gave it.
A League One referee as well, by the way.
Yeah, League One referee. Couldn't remember. I thought, do we think it was Evans who took our last penalty at Morecambe?
It was, wasn't it? Chaplin missed at Morecambe, didn't he? And then
that's
Evans,
right, he did.
And then Evans stepped up and took the next penalty and dispatched it.
Kind of surprised that was I don't know. We never get it. It's such a rarity. Probably Chaplin's been banging them in for fun in training. So, and quite rightly, great penalty, wasn't it? So it didn't even give the keeper the eyes, just planted it in to the keeper's right, and keeper was pretty sort of weird one. He sort of flat-footed when he didn't really make a dive till it was always in the net. So yeah, 2-1. And I think deserved at that stage.
And then the third goal pretty soon after.
Yeah, this was
lovely
good.
Goal.
I think. Yeah, no, this was the touch from Edwards is when you look back. I didn't quite appreciate it at the time. It's a ridiculous first time ball, sort of round the corner, perfectly weighted. The ball sort of drops to him just inside, just their side of the centre circle, Rotherham side, sort of almost a no eyes round the corner ball, and a good composure from Ladapo. Keeper makes it easy for him though.
I was going to say, keeper's massively overcommitted, isn't he?
Comes out outside his box, comes flying out, but he's still got to be composed there, and sort of nudges it round him and keeps his composure, slides it past. I think it's that Richard Wood, isn't it? I think Richard Wood on the line.
You can still
did he not famously score that 95th minute equaliser for Coventry in the Pablo? I believe it was him, wasn't it? So 3-1 and game over then, isn't it?
Yeah, but Joe, there's a fourth in there, and is this in the box or outside for you?
It looks like Vincent Young is inside the box, but the contact is probably just outside the box. I was right in line with it, to be fair, and I thought it was a penalty on first viewing, but when I've looked back at it, it looks like the contact is made outside the box. And then another penalty. Chaplin's gone off by this point. You think, is Lee Evans going to take this one? And no, Wes Burns is the guy that steps up and takes it. And he just coolly puts it down the middle, waits for the keeper to move, and just rattles it down the middle of the goal. And 4-1, off we go. Good win. Into the hat.
Yeah.
So first time, this is crazy, isn't it? First time in the fourth round. I went to that game with Ben in 2010, Southampton away. I went to that game.
We were wearing this kit.
Oh, yeah, we were. I think Pablo scores a toe poke, doesn't he? They score a ridiculous goal. Wayne Thomas, I think, the fullback, scores an absolute Cafu bloody worldie. And I think Antonio might score as well. I think Antonio may score.
Pablo scored a very, very late consolation.
It's a sort of toe poke, yeah. And also something else, a stat that got me, first time in 30 years that we've won 3 FA Cup games in the same season. I mean, how nuts is that?
So he was at 92, 93, was it?
Boncho hat-trick. Boncho hat-trick against Grimsby.
Yeah. We lost to Arsenal, didn't we?
We did.
Oh, remember that all kicked off that day. I seem to remember. I think we beat Plymouth that season in the third round. I think they had Shilton in goal.
But we had we had a good cup run, 91, 92. If people are looking for omens or history repeating, 91, 92, we got obviously Liverpool in was that the fifth round or the quarters? I think it's the.
No, it wasn't the quarters.
Was it not? Fifth round.
Nah, fifth,
nevertheless, maybe people worrying a little bit about cup run being a distraction, but winning is winning, isn't it? And that breeds confidence.
And we've got we made 8 changes yesterday in a bit of championship side, so you've got to you've got to look at what we've got, and every one of those players would be better off for playing that game yesterday.
And anyone jump out, Joe, who's maybe on the, apart from Humphreys, who we've given a lot of praise to, anyone there in the periphery that maybe has given McKenna more food for thought?
I thought Edmondson, I know the sort of goalie is a little bit caught up, but I thought Edmondson was really good. I thought Jackson played really well on that right-hand side role, so maybe he's going to get some more minutes there, either ahead of or in place of Burns at times, because Burns is generally someone who tends to play the 90 minutes, isn't he? But I thought Aluko was good again, but he's just going to come in and be good when he plays. But no, I thought it was just an all-round good performance, wasn't it?
Agree, Dave?
Yeah, it really was. I thought, really solid and good to see. You know, when it just shows the depth of squad, doesn't it? When you see some of the teams that have been put out in cup matches in recent seasons, you think, there's just no comparison, is it?
And any thoughts on the atmosphere, guys? Because the Section 6 guys
Lively.
got more into Section 5. They encroached in my area, which frankly I'm fully supportive of, because it's pretty routinely of a weekend in the North Stand where two bits of the North Stand are chanting something completely different from one another. So did that make a difference to the atmosphere? Obviously the upper tiers weren't open, so everyone was kind of more congregated together, but did you sense that better atmosphere because of that, guys?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I had seats over towards same stand, but more over towards the middle. I had a really good view of the dugout yesterday, which was quite interesting as well. It's really, really decent atmosphere. Obviously, the bottom, the bottom section of the Sir Bobby was absolutely rammed. So no, it seemed a decent atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I thought good atmosphere. It's difficult for me to compare because I'm normally the very back row, the south stand lower, and this time I was sort of in line with the goal line at the north stand end, so you could hear a lot more there. I was in the middle tier there, so yeah, I thought the atmosphere was really good all game, especially once they scored their goal. It really kept us going at that point there.
Let's jump back into the chat. Charlie D here, Freddie's goal. I thought for a split second he was going to try the Pele feint. I guess he didn't really need to at the end. The keeper helped him out a big load there, didn't he? But that goal, there's confidence there, Dave, isn't there, in that finish from Ladapo? And
it was a really good.
He probably knew that Hirst was it. I'm not sure he's checking his Twitter during the game, but he probably knows that Hirst is in the stand, isn't he? So.
I think I saw him checking out his Dior jacket at one point, actually up in the stand. Someone posted that. I thought, someone posted that. So that's a $2,000 Dior jacket. I thought Joe Fairs wears those in his garden, for Christ's sake.
Joe's got a load of those in the box in the garage.
He's got a load of those.
I only spend money on football shirts.
No, it was sorry. Where were we? Lost me.
Freddie's goal. Freddie's confidence.
Freddie's goal. Yeah, absolutely.
Sending a message.
Like I said, so yeah, it was really, really composed. As I said before, really, really good finish. Because it's easy to. But like I said, the keeper did make it easy for him. But no, I thought we had a good game. Good game throughout. The ball stuck to him. He was a good target. Right, a good focal point right the way through the match. And I certainly think since the start of the season, that aspect of his game has come on a bundle. But yeah, it'll be nice to have some competition. But as Joe quite rightly says, they're going to be rotated.
Yeah, and I enjoyed the Emil Heskey DJ celebration as well. That took me back to 2001. Michael Keogh should have just let the player have a shot. He did not have much of the goal to aim at. As Fergus, they trust your goalkeeper. Yeah, I think we probably agree with that, don't we, guys? Neil Chaplin is class. Such a key player for us. Do you want to talk about Chaplin's contribution yesterday, Dave?
Yeah, good as ever, really. I think had a couple of snapshots. Really good volley, great technique with volley, which was a little bit unlucky. Just didn't keep. But keeper made a half decent save, sort of half stopped it, but pushed it sort of wide. But yeah, I mean, I think someone said on our Telegram group that if Chaplin's capable of walking, that he should play. I think this was in response to the Lincoln game last week. If he's fit, he should start, and I think that's probably right. He's just an outstanding player at that level.
Yeah, agree with that. David, I need some deciphering this one. During the game yesterday, I thought this Mick M was what we wished for. Entertain football with a desire to win. There must be a song at some point, and we need to move on from Mick, don't we? But it is, winning in the cup is something that we quite like, isn't it, guys? Have you missed cup success, Joe? Albeit relative cup success, but
yeah, it's also just nice to win games of football, isn't it?
It is. I think
generally you walk out.
Bigger issue, isn't it?
And like I say, I was in the pub before the game yesterday, and I didn't really think many people would be down there. I was in Isaacs, and sort of a couple came, and then a few more came, and it's like everyone was just like, oh well, I didn't have anything to do today, and a couple of people said, you go into the game, so oh yeah, actually I will. And where if this was a few years back, that wouldn't have been the case. So it's just good. I like a cup run. I like to sit there like I did today and watch the FA Cup draw to see who we're going to get in the cup and see if any exciting ties come up. It is a chance to do something. And yeah, we haven't had any great cup draws over the time. And you sort of think, oh, well, is this going to be the chance we're going to go to like Tottenham's new stadium or West Ham's new stadium and have a big day out as a fan base? But it hasn't been. But it's another home draw. I'm sure everyone knows we've drawn Burnley at home in the FA Cup, but it's another home draw. It's a chance to test ourselves against top championship opposition. I think they're well clear at the. I know them and Sheffield United are well clear at the top of the championship, and Vincent Kompany's got them playing some great stuff. So it's a good test for us there, and
a statement win yesterday against Bournemouth, isn't it? As well,
they just won 7. They just won 7 on the spin. I was actually out and I was listening to the draw on TalkSport. We were 1 away from Man United, weren't we?
Yeah,
1 away.
Same as we were in the third round draw, wasn't it?
Were we? Is that? Yeah, I think we were. I think you're right. Now it'll be good. They're very, from what I've seen on. I mean, Ben will be all over this, obviously, but they're very easy on the eye, aren't they? They've got to say, look, it would be. Hopefully, even the side they put out yesterday had that Benson, the wide left-footed player that plays right, and I don't think Rodriguez played yesterday. I think Zagrory's scored the other 2. Yeah, they look pretty good. So yeah, it'll be a good test. But as you say, they're obviously the cream, and look, well, I think they're 14 points clear from third or something like that. So they look odds on for promotion. So that would be a more of a championship yardstick certainly than yesterday was.
Despite what some of our listeners and subscribers might wish for, probably better than it's Portmanone and not Turf Moor, right? I think we've all done Burnley, haven't we? I'm not sure I need to go back there. So that'll be a good one. Dan in the Telegram group was saying I should imagine a future Man United manager pitting his wits against a future City manager. You never know. A nice narrative there, isn't there, as well?
Yeah.
By the way, thank you for everyone for joining us. Great numbers. A lot of people obviously on the buzz of George Hirst signing and Burnley in the cup. So if this is your first time watching, please give us a thumbs up and a subscribe. If you're a regular, give us a thumbs up and a subscribe as well. We do appreciate that. Thank you to Ben, Carl, Stephen, and Biles on Facebook who've already done likewise. We will continue to chat as much as you put stuff in there. So do give us some things to discuss with the guys. We will talk about Plymouth at the end as well. So interesting to get people's thoughts on Plymouth, the big one coming up next weekend. But back to the chats. Daryl listens to the game on Radio Sheffield, living in the area. They were generally very complimentary about Town and how we approached the game. I'm not surprised. Kind of feel sorry for Rotherham, really. It's a weird situation there, isn't it, guys? Or Paul Warne, such a kind of a big, galvanizing force there, and you can see the effect he's having at Derby, who boshed Barnsley 3-0 in the cup.
Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle for them, isn't it, Dave?
I think so. Yeah. No, I really on the basis of yesterday, and we said I think Balassa, who they may be lining up a deal elsewhere also. He'll be a miss. Yeah, I think they are gonna struggle to. Hopefully, we will pass them by.
It'd be good to swap places, wouldn't it? Joe, maybe one for you to comment on. Under 21s, Humphreys and Fraser Alexander were excellent every time as a partnership. Not sure how Alexander's out on loan, is he, Joe, at the moment?
Yeah, he's at Cheshire, I think, on loan, which is, I think, National League South. But he's he originally signed there for a month, but he's still there, still playing every game there. So he's obviously impressed them to stay there. I think he's been maybe sort of 3.5 months there now. So hopefully he can keep playing all season and get a season under his belt in the National League South.
Okay. We talked about the ref briefly. Mark Prime, ref, had a really good view of it. And Gary Lovell here talking about is there a new ruling there? I don't know if this is a definitive statement. If players' momentum takes them to the box, then award a pen. But general thoughts on the referee, guys? Obviously, referee that we might come up against in a future game. But
thought he was good.
Is McKenna's? I mean, McKenna's been quite reasonable, I think, in his response to the referees, and particularly Lincoln obviously opened up some wounds there, particularly about penalties and so on. Did we read anything into McKenna's comments and that performance on Saturday?
Influence? I don't think so. I just think he was half decent.
He's right though, isn't he, McKenna?
No, absolutely is. I just thought he was half decent yesterday, and I'd say all 3 penalties were decent. Were certainly penalties from my point of view. Yeah, a bit of debate about Vincent Young, and I don't know what penalty. I didn't see him pick it up in the chat. Which penalty he was referring to there? Was it Washington's momentum in the box? I think that was that. I think I'm sure
maybe the Vincent Young one. I think
the Vincent Young probably. Yeah. No, I thought the ref was good all round yesterday. Yet let the game flow. Yeah, good performance. Hopefully we'll see him again. Have we? I mean, I didn't pick up. Had he been in charge of any of our other games this season?
Oh, if only I'd done some proper research, Dave. I could have.
I'll do some in a sec. TWTD normally state it.
Joe can do that, and then you give him a Google.
But it's just, I just need my because I took my eldest to the game yesterday, and he went to the Colchester game at the start of the season. The only two other than that he's been to is the Portsmouth game and yesterday. So in those 2 games, he's seen 5 penalties across them.
Oh, Christ,
so maybe that's what we need.
There you go. Yeah. What's your eldest called, Joe?
Teddy.
Ticket for Teddy. That's what we
Teddy.
want. Rotation.
Home and away.
Hashtag ticket for Teddy.
Mind you, 3 of I've got not being add to that. 3 of those have been opposition penalties. Don't forget.
Yeah, that's not the best part of it.
That's true.
Caveat.
Come on, Teddy, sort it out. Michael Edwards was so close to getting 2 tapping goals plus his pass to Freddie. Such a great player to bring on. Yeah, I mean that strength in depth is massive.
Frightening, really, when you look at the bench.
Gary, would anyone consider going forward with a 3-man midfield, taking into account Humphrey's recent excellent form? Dave, well, we'll let Joe do some research on referees. Your thoughts on tripod?
Okay, I've done it there. He's ref 2 of our games before. The 3-2 defeat against Swindon Town when Scott Twine scored that goal, and then the 2-0 defeat at Accrington, which was the start of a demise that season, where he sent off Armando Dobra, gave a penalty against.
Really? Was it him?
So, yeah,
I've got to say though, we couldn't have any arguments about those decisions at Accrington, could we? From memory, I don't think we could we? That's interesting. That is interesting.
But your thoughts on that 3-man midfield?
3-man? No, I mean that'd be a change of formation. I just don't see that anytime soon. No,
fair enough.
No, I think Humphreys as a auxiliary number 10, very much.
Yeah. Good to have supporters of other clubs with us. Ben, Sunderland fan, hope your team are doing well. Yeah, good win for Sunderland. A late show for Sunderland against Shrewsbury as well.
Yeah,
Luco9, you can still find him. And Ian's with us as well. Our favourite Darlington fan. So great to have visitors from other teams. Love that.
Anyway.
And hopefully people are asking Ben about Nathan Broadhead in the chat as well. Lee, Chuffer Freddie yesterday, not his biggest fan, but that would have meant a lot to him. Yeah, goal against his former club. Really tidy finish as well.
Yeah.
Stephen Beals, hoping the new lads can help us score the goals to finish teams off and cut out the draws. I mean, that's the big one, Dave, isn't it?
It is, and we've got
these players are being targeted.
And in January, we've got these home games coming up against Morecambe and against Accrington as well. So they're the ones that you think. Yeah, those home games, you got to cut out dropping those points as we did against Cheltenham, as we did against Fleetwood. So, yeah, let's and Oxford away we've got after Plymouth, I think, haven't we? That's potentially we remember what happened there last season. So
we move on.
Some nervous times coming up, but yeah, these signings can only help.
Joe, Dan's question here: does Hirst go straight in for Plymouth? I think I'd be surprised. But he says big game to make a debut in a key role. I think we probably expect him to be on the bench, don't we?
Yeah,
given them lack of minutes.
Yeah, and then coming on for the last sort of 20, 30 minutes or so once Ladapo's run himself into the ground.
I think it'd be a bit harsh on Ladapo as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, goal. A decent goal at that as well against Rotherham as well. So, Andrew here, I mean, there's quite a few these hypothetical questions that we've got coming up. We need to keep the positivity going, and we need to think maybe we're still in this season right now. But Andrew's question here: which town players have reached their ceiling and League One and would have to move on if we went up? I mean, do we want to go there just yet? I mean, I don't like preempting anything and tempting fate anyway, but.
I don't mind tempting
pretty talented
fate.
Squad.
Yeah, I don't mind tempting fate, but I think that if we were to go up, it wouldn't need a big sort of revolution of the squad, would it? You'd only need to add sort of 4 or 5 to it, and there'd be some that just naturally would.
Some of the older, Keogh and
some of the older players just sort of drift away. Keogh or Luco, and then maybe someone like a Jackson or a. I don't know. There's a few, maybe, but then someone like a Burgess might struggle to step up just with the extra pace in it. You just don't know until you get there, really, do you? But I think
we proved against Rotherham, as you mentioned, Joe, Burnley will be an interesting measuring stick.
Yeah, I just think that we'll just want to sort of tweak things slightly and look to bring in a bit more quality into those sort of forward roles. Obviously, you've got to remember, like George Hirst is only on loan, isn't he? And if we go up, then you're still going to want that striker and things. So the squad is a championship squad, really, isn't it? But we've got to get there.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, this is another one of these questions that dovetails in with that mindset. Maybe Dave, you use a 2495. This is going to sound very negative, but what do you think happens if we continue on this spending habit and don't secure promotion? Do you see the Americans sticking at it?
Even want to think about that.
Use a 2495.
Don't even. That is the doomsday scenario, isn't it? No, let's not dwell on that. All I know is that an investment that's the size of investment that they've made, they would want to see a double quick return on that.
Yes, and if there's a 7-figure sum being mentioned for Broadhead, isn't there? Then it's going to be interesting. I mean,
can you imagine if we're still 3 years from now?
Oh,
We're mid. No, I don't even want to think about it.
I think we started with so much positivity. I was arguing about sticking that question.
We've just been knocked out of the cup by Cole. No, I don't want to hear it.
I have to pay respect to the chat, and if people ask us a fair question, we'll try and give them a fair answer. But we hope you use a 2495. It doesn't come to that. It feels like a good time to kind of talk about our League One rivals in this kind of promotion race, because Plymouth weren't in cup action, but struggled, I think, albeit maybe could have snuck it at the death. A 0-0 draw away at Bolton, not an easy place to go, but 60-40 in terms of possession in Bolton's favour, 14 shots to Plymouth 6, 2v2 on target, perhaps tells the story there. Block shot 7-2, corners 7-4, big chances 2-0, and skipper Joe Edwards red carded in injury time. Minutes, I think, for all of their new signings, Jay Matete, Callum Wright and Saxon Early. This is going to be a big one, guys. Your thoughts on Plymouth? The Whittaker thing is a big one. The Cooper rumours are starting to ratchet up a little bit. Joe, how are you feeling about this one? Maybe a little bit better than you might have after Lincoln, dare I say?
Nervous about it because it is going to be a big game. Really looking forward to it, though. I think it will be a really, really good game.
Nice to have these games back, isn't it?
Yeah, this is what we're football fans for, isn't it? To go to these massive games where they are the huge 6-pointers at the top of the league, and it is one of those. And I'd say Plymouth were missing Whittaker yesterday. They're probably going to be missing him next week, and it's just how are they going to adapt to that? But we've got to come out of the trap, start quickly, get in front, and just beat them, isn't it? That's we've got to do. I don't think a draw. I don't think a draw does as much good, to be fair. If you offered them a draw now, sort of in Mick McCarthy's words, they wouldn't even get on the bus, I think, if you could guarantee them a point next week. So it's up to us to go and win that game and cut that gap from 7 points.
Yeah, you excited, Dave?
Yeah, very. And I think someone posted, I think it could have been on TWTD or maybe even been on our Telegram group, ratchet up the atmosphere. There's going to be something like, I don't know, maybe even 28, 29,000. I think they've pretty much sold their allocation. I'm not sure. Would that be 1,000? I'm not sure. Big game. And this is the first big game where, as Joe said, he's slightly nervous about it. But I think we've got enough character in the side now to carry us through these big games, where in previous seasons where we've said, we've bottled it, and that was I think we just lack character in the team, right through the team, really. And I think we've got that now. So, guardedly confident.
Yeah. We just need to go in and we have a role to play next week as well. I think people underestimate the role that the crowd has at Portman Road, and sometimes we are a bit flat, and sometimes we do kind of the Suffolk sigh and a little bit, I think we need to really get behind the team. And, we play in a way that makes that really easy. We score early, and that sets a really strong foundation, doesn't it? But we'll be back to talk about that next week. Pre-match show, me and Seb will probably try and do that live. I think there's some, we'll try and talk about that one live and get your thoughts on that one. But the flagship next week, wouldn't it be good to talk about a win, guys?
Do you think this is the last biggest match of this stature at Portman Road, do we think? What do we reckon?
This kind of level, you mean?
Yeah. This.
I don't think there's been any at this level, because
I'm not sure there are. League games, certainly not.
No, not since we've been in League One, because we've never really been involved
not League One.
in the
I don't even mean League. I don't even mean
okay,
League
sorry,
One.
in the Championship. Yeah, probably that time when we were chasing the playoffs in 14, 15, and
maybe Bournemouth over Easter. Then maybe.
Bournemouth, or Nottingham.
Then you got Sheffield Wednesday in February as well. I mean,
and obviously the playoffs.
I'm a bit sad that I quite like these games when the weather's a little bit warmer, albeit it's not cold at the moment, but you kind of like those in the sunshine, walking out
or under the lights.
Under the lights as well, Joe. Yeah, so It feels like, Dave, kind of one of those games we haven't had for a while. And then Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, we did talk briefly about Sheffield Wednesday as well. Really strong performance against a makeshift and profligate Newcastle on Saturday as well. But positive news that Sheffield Wednesday have got games like we do, because Plymouth have got the EFL Trophy Tuesday night. It's not really the same as the FA Cup, is it? And who did Sheffield Wednesday get, by the way? Anyone know that? I'll be checking that. But your thoughts on their performance against Newcastle?
Yeah,
Dave?
I watched some of it. Yeah, good. Windass is in obviously a fairly old rich vein of form. Is it like 5 goals in the last 5 goals in his last 2 games? Although a hat trick against Cambridge, he looked really, really poor. The highlights I saw last weekend or bank holiday. So yeah, I think it's going to be another game for them. Obviously, they've got the EFL Cup still, so still games. I don't think Bannon, by all accounts, is going to. Well, they certainly didn't miss him yesterday, did they? But I don't think he's going to be out anything like long term, is it? I believe he just got rest. From what I understand, just perhaps got rested for the Cup yesterday. They've got Wickham at home next Saturday.
And it's Fleetwood at home in the fourth round as well. So.
Yeah, funny enough, they got Fleetwood at home. It's one of those fixture quirks, because I wrote down some fixtures. They got Fleetwood at home in the league on the 21st. It's one of those quirky league, league how they come out, League Cup. So yeah, Derby worry me.
Yeah, strong win for them against Barnsley, wasn't it? I mean,
Derby are worrying.
We
got to go there as well, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a tough trip, isn't it? Yeah. I'm just going to go through the FA Cup games very quickly. I mean, Dobra Joe starring for Paul Cook's Chesterfield. I've lost it. I need to get. I was really glad that he didn't do the post match or match of the day. I was really hoping for a Paul Cookerism, but Dobra, 2 good celebrations and lauded it over the West Brom away support, didn't he?
Yeah, he's always been one of those that likes to have a battle against people. Rashford. I don't know what the celebration is, the Rashford one. I haven't seen it, but I saw that Rashford Instagrammed it on his story, so that's me being down with the kids there. But no, great to see Dobra doing well. I think he's got sort of 7 or 8 goals now, hasn't he, this season? And he was a player that I'd have liked to have seen getting a bit more of a chance here, but it wasn't going to be.
Nope. It's talent, isn't he? Just talent, just lost his way a bit. Just I don't know.
Just raw talent. I don't think he's had the best advice from people.
No, I think you said that before, Joe.
And I think he's gone through agents quite quickly. When people sort of say his agents giving bad advice, I think he's probably had about 6 in the last couple of years. So maybe he just needs to settle down.
Saw him speak.
He seems to be doing that.
I saw him speak afterwards on. I think it could have been match of the day. He's no Cameron Humphreys, is he?
No, but he spoke well enough, didn't he?
He did speak well, to be fair.
They've got themselves a replay, albeit they could have probably just about beaten West Brom there. Late drama there.
Should have.
In terms of other bits and pieces, we talked about Burnley. If you want any views on Burnley in the chat, we'll deal with those maybe. And Bournemouth, Accrington was a draw. I mean, Accrington game will now move on to it, so maybe not as interesting as I thought. Shrewsbury were 1-0 up with in injury time and somehow threw that away to Sunderland. Coventry lost to Wrexham. That was a good, entertaining game. Derby, I mentioned. Norwich, no new manager bounce for them under Wagner. 1-0 defeat to Blackburn. Steve Evans, Stevenage managed to knock out Aston Villa, guys. That was
unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's been a good. Are you feeling the magic more generally, guys? I know that obviously it helps.
Well, you are when you're involved. You are, aren't you? You know, if we weren't involved, as we haven't been, well, obviously for 13 seasons, you sort of who would we have got? You sort of half eye on the draw. Oh, who would we have got? Sort of thing. You know, Burnley at home, and your people would have been a bit meh. But you're in the draw. You know, you're there. So of course, it's more exciting. You know, the excitement's there.
But some good entertainment there as well, and I enjoyed some good games on the telly. Liverpool Wolves was a weird one. I don't know. VAR just farcical, isn't it? Let's move on. Let's finish off with some bits in the chat.
There's just a comment there just about VAR at Prem grounds only, isn't it? It's just popped up, and I just think it's like I've actually been to a game at Anfield where VAR's in use, and Anfield I think is one of the only grounds in the Premier League that doesn't have a big screen there. So that we were there. I was at the game. It was a Liverpool Arsenal game. I was up with some relatives, and it was just on there like all of a sudden on the little scoreboard says VAR check, but no one knows what they're checking for. It doesn't say whether it's for a penalty. This turned out it was checking for a red card, and it wasn't a red card. So you're at the game, and all of a sudden it just stops for 2 minutes, and nothing happens. I think if you have VAR, you've got to have it at every game. Maybe once you get, because does it change later in the competition once you get to the 5th round or the 6th round?
No.
And if you're, cause say you're in the quarterfinals and you're a Championship club or a League One club at home, even in the quarterfinals, do you not have VAR? I bet if Man City or Chelsea were turning up, all of a sudden they'd get VAR sorted in their grounds for him.
Well, 2 offside goals in the Sheffield Wednesday Newcastle game, weren't there as well? You know, I've got that bugbear with goal line technology as well. I can't see why every team in the EFL shouldn't be forced to have the facilities to have goal line technology. I just think that's a no-brainer. That's something that we
even
really
if it's funded centrally.
Yeah, indeed, totally agree. You loan the equipment, don't you, and pay it back or whatever. Yeah, just weird that.
I'll be experiencing it for the first time weekend after next. I'm going to that West Ham Everton.
Oh, nice. Corporate?
No, corporate. Actually, going to meeting a clients over. It's not corporate actually, but clients over from the US. So I'm going there, but not corporately. Sort of meeting up with beers and stuff like that.
That would be a big game for whoever loses that.
Fan. That's a massive game.
And
I know West Ham obviously won yesterday because at some point I saw who's going to have Sean Dyche in the dugout, West Ham or Everton by that time. But yeah, no, that should be a fairly intense game, that one. So I quite look forward to that actually. Yeah, I haven't been to the West Ham ground, so yeah, quite looking forward to that.
Cool. Let's finish with some stuff in the chat. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Really great numbers, really great interaction. Eddie's hoping Horst doesn't need half a season to get going, but my Pompey fan mates have claimed we've won the league now. So a lot of people blowing smoke, aren't they? But yeah, we need, and we've got the recruit, the staff, the hopefully the fitness equipment and all that words. I don't know what I'm talking about. Do you know what I mean? We're in a better position in terms of squad fitness than we've got
everything we need to get promoted, don't we?
All the tools. Got all the tools, Rich.
Got the tools. All the tools. Put the jigsaw together. I'm mixing up my cliches. And Barry, question for Joe: who do you see being the next youth player to make
Joe.
Up?
I think Edwin Agbaj is the one who's done well when he's played for the first team this year, hasn't he? He's sort of come in at right back. He's played left back a bit, so he's done well. No real update on Tawanda Chirera's situation, so I don't know if there's anything happening there. But he gets so far down the pecking order, doesn't he? When you think as a 10, who's going to play ahead of him?
Just going back in time a bit, did I see somewhere that Tyrese Simpson may have made his debut for Huddersfield?
His first start. He's played in the league a few games, but that was his first start.
His first start, sorry, yeah.
Subbed at half time though, Dave.
Oh.
So we'll see there. Lee, I think I might be in the minority, but I think Burnley at home is great draw, really tough test. Without it being one-sided, it's going to be. I mean, two good footballing teams, right? So
it's great that it's at home because we've had a lot of travelling over the last few weeks, and when we've had a lot of illness in the squad and we're having to travel everywhere over the Christmas period with the 3 away games in 4, that was a real tough period, and I'm glad we've got to the back of that one now. That wasn't great, but
to be fair, Burnley last weekend in January could be grim, couldn't it? It could be grim up north.
And also, like Accrington is now a midweek game. That must make it more difficult for them. Coming down here on a Tuesday night as opposed to a Saturday.
Yep, agree with that. Neil Ladapo's to start against Plymouth. A lot of chat about Plymouth and the drop off and so on. I mean, we need to give praise and credit to Plymouth, and now they've got the points as well on the board, which is what we're missing. But FPL tractor with a lack of Whittaker prey on Plymouth's minds. I guess if the goals don't come, then maybe.
From what it sounds like at Bolton, there was a lot of time wasting. They've really tried to slow the game down. They were quite happy to play for the 0-0. So I think
good point.
We're going to need to expect that, and we're going to need to get the crowd big up and on the rest back from the start.
Yeah. I mean, Christo's Plymouth's captain out. It's huge. Imagine if Morsey was. Yeah, we've got 2,200 Plymouth.
Oh, really?
2,000, just over 2,000 Plymouth fans coming from Graham.
Fantastic.
So it's going to be a big one. Yeah, 2 big ones, Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday. It's going to be an interesting week coming up. We've got hopefully a midweek show talking about if there are any more signings. Hopefully Broadhead across the line, albeit someone's mentioning Coventry now. Oh, don't do that. Here we go. Palace at home in McCarthy's first season. A massive game, says Veronica. Just trying to remember these games that we've.
Is that the 3-0? That was a 3-0 bloody
Frank
Aaron Cresswell Thunderbastard.
Newblane Cresswell, was it?
Aaron Cresswell Thunderbastard. Yeah, that was.
Neil talking about found some good form at late. We just need to figure out consistency in front of the big crowds, don't we? But it's going to be an interesting one. Do join us midweek, hopefully. Certainly back for the pre-match show. We'll try and do that live if we can. Seb and I will be back this time next week to talk about Plymouth, hopefully with positivity in our voices, our hearts, our minds, our souls. I don't know where I'm going with this, blaming the COVID. Charlie, thank you. See you all in a week. Yeah, thanks everyone. Wembley bounds. Oh no, the drama. Joe, Dave, thank you for your chat as always. Thank you everyone for joining us in such good numbers as well. We appreciate that. We will be excited this week. We will see how things go. Joe, do you want to say anything before we say goodbye?
No, just I guess keep your eyes on the socials over the next couple of days to see who else is going to
Why
be
not get
coming
on in our Telegram? Tell everyone about Telegram, Joe.
Yeah, Telegram's just our little community where we break news to everybody before Ipswich Town does. No, it's just a good place to chat about Ipswich Town and away from sort of Twitter and away from the ITFC timeline that seems to be in a constant state of drama.
Dumpster fire sometimes, isn't it? Yeah, indeed. Yeah, do join us over on Telegram. 2 weeks for free, and then there's a subscription. Blue Monday, ITFC.co.uk for all the links there. Dave, anything to sign off with before we say goodbye?
No, not really. Just really looking forward to next Saturday. Let's hope we get the right result.
Yep, fingers crossed. Thank you to Chris. Thanks to Michael. Thanks to Rodders, FPL Tractor. Thanks to Gary. Thank you everyone for joining us on the weekend where Ipswich get their themselves in the 4th round of the FA Cup, beating Rotherham 4-1. Burnley next up in the 4th round, but the small matter of Plymouth at home next weekend. Let's have a good week. Let's stay excited and stay positive. Thanks everyone. We'll see you soon.